So have you listened to the first episode yet?
Yes.
Oh, you did. I think
Most I didn't make it through the whole way, but I
kind of skimmed
listened to
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you're in the minority. I think very
Uh,
few people have checked it out. So, but
I'm a skimmer.
if one thing that Hollywood has taught us, the sequel's always better.
Exactly. The sequel is always better.
So, hello and welcome back to the Tiki Rebellion. I am, of course, Nick, and I am joined as always by the incomparable legend, Mr. Adam Rains.
Nick Morningstar, how are you, sir?
You know what? I'm a touch under the weather, but we've been having so many adventures. We've been doing so many exciting things recently. I thought, you know what? Let's take some Excedrin. Let's wipe my nose. Let's dry our eyes, and let's just power forward. Because if there's anything that the response from the first episode that we have in no way promoted taught us, it's that we at least care about making this, regardless of whether you care about listening to it. And boy, since the last time we've recorded, we've had some adventures, my man.
We have, and then speaking of your sickness, we're kind of like mailmen, the tiki mailmen, where come rain, come shine, come snow, we're gonna bring that tiki message. And
Come
we've
Rains, come Renaud, come Govong. We
whoa,
we will not fail you with our tiki delivery.
nice rumbone shout out right there. Yes, we've been on the road a little bit. We've held a lot of fun events at the Tiki Bar as well. But yeah, we went to Tucson, Miami. We're going back to Arizona very soon as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
been
a
a lot
lot
been
of
going on.
cool stuff we've been doing, and there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. And it's one of the things, there are going to be a lot of different sort of themes from different episodes. And one of them is because of, our unique position, what we do, we get invited to do some cool things. And I don't know if it's really going to be peeling back the curtain, but we want to share those experiences. We know there are tiki fans around the world. And, only a few hundred of us were able to do this last event we did the other weekend. And since we were lucky enough to have made the friends that made these connections for us, we want to share these stories. So, the theme of our second Tiki Rebellion episode is Kabali, the Tiki Mug Obsession, the new Tiki Bar in Tucson, Arizona. So, about a year ago, a gentleman named Finney came into the Golden Tiki, and it was around happy hour. So I was relatively occupied, but he mentioned that he was in the process of opening a new tiki bar in Arizona, and that this process was being filmed for a documentary. Seemed like a cool cat. It was fun chatting with him, but again, I had a lot going on. We sort of exchanged pleasantries, and I went on about my day. Fast forward to about maybe 6, 7 months ago, and Finney came back to the Golden Tiki, this time with his videographer. It was because, and I think we're both very humbled to say this, during the course of, well, let's get into what this is, I guess, before I put the cart too in front of the horse. Finney became obsessed with tiki mugs shortly after the release of Sven Kirsten's The Book of Tiki. Jeff Barry wrote the chapter on tiki mugs. And Finney, a barman of his own right, someone who'd never really done work in tiki before, just thought these tiki mugs were so damn cool and became compulsive about collecting them. So after having a few different bars of his own, he decided, I want to open a tiki bar and I want to do it under the theme of my obsession with tiki mugs. And it was such a unique concept that not only did they decide to build this bar, they decided to film a documentary about that process.
Such a cool
So,
idea.
yeah, what a neat idea. I mean, there's so many different cool ways out there to theme a tiki bar, but you take what would normally be, kind of like this is the totem that I've been there, the tiki mug, and the fandom that we all in this tiki world that we live in, you know, celebrate like all these different cool mugs, to build a bar around that, to have that be the focal point. Kind of mad I didn't come up with it myself. I think it's a pretty cool gimmick. And yeah,
Exactly.
he came back about 6, 7 months ago with his filmographer. And during the process of creating this documentary about the inception of this bar and his idea, they had they would interview different people, you know, fans, creators in tiki, and everyone they would ask, what's your favorite tiki bar? And the Golden Tiki came up very frequently. So they came back to film B-roll, so that in the documentary, you know, when someone says, oh, you know, my favorite tiki bar is in Chinatown in Las Vegas, it is the Golden Tiki, they would have footage to show of it. That's why they came in, and that really gave Finney and I the opportunity. It was early in the morning on like a Sunday or something like that. There was barely anyone in. And it really gave us the chance just to get to sit down and chat. And man, from the get-go, what a cool guy. We were fast friends early on. I ended up getting mic'd up and filmed a segment that I am certain they will not use in the documentary, but it was still
Come
very kind of
on, you
them.
know,
They,
they need that beautiful voice in that.
well, yeah, I have a face for podcasting. Maybe they'll have me as a VO. Let me tell you that there's a reason that the audio is trending much better than the YouTube portion of this. But yeah, it was a super, super fun guy. I really appreciated his knowledge, his passion, and the vision he was going with. And so just a few months ago, probably back in late November, December, somewhere around there, he reached out to me and said, hey, Nick, we have soft open. You know, it's the first weekend of February. Can you come? And I said, well, only if I can bring my main man, Mr. Tiki Reigns, Adam.
You know, you got that +1, and I'm happy you did it.
Had to have you there because trust me, if this is just me talking about a tiki bar, it's just me talking to just me. But with you here and having that experience with me, that's got the pedigree. So yeah, we decided because we do run a 24-hour tiki bar that is so much going on all the time. We decided, why don't we leave that morning and drive 6.5 hours down to Tucson, Arizona from Las Vegas, go to the bar opening, drive back the next day, and go back to work, because that's the commitment we have. And this is the tale of that journey. No,
Yeah,
really, the drive wasn't that bad. And I'd never been, I don't, have you been to Tucson before that?
I've never been to Tucson. Outside of Phoenix, I haven't really explored Arizona, so it was cool to see that landscape. We got to see sunset over the desert.
It was
Quite
lovely.
romantic, you know.
Yeah,
It was
very
very
romantic.
lovely, you know.
Almost as romantic as our Jack in the Box dinner that we had when we got to town.
Ooh,
Um,
Nick's
a,
first Jack in the Box taco
a lot of
ever.
firsts, my
That
first Jack in the
is,
Box taco,
yes.
perhaps my last Jack in the Box taco. But yeah, we hit town after a long time on the road, and it's cool. Do you remember the name of the bar that Finney owns, that Cavalli is sort of a speakeasy to?
Yes, it's called the
I
drawing a blank.
remember it acutely.
It's like the launch. It's the launch. It's a semi-nautical themed bar. And you can edit me and edit the real title in there. I think it is called the launch or something like that.
I'm
Simply.
I'm pulling it up right now.
The food looked great. They had a cute bar in there. And you know, it was packed when the time we went in there, the day after, still pretty busy, very busy at night. And it looked like the kind of bar I would have a burger and a craft beer and enjoy the night there.
Yeah, it was super cute established venue that it's attached to. And the way, I don't know if they plan on adding additional signage. The way it's set up right now is it's basically like very kind of speakeasy, but it's that tiki sort of wink and a nod speakeasy, where they now have a stone moai by the
Mhm.
exit. So to sort of hint that maybe there's something behind the scenes.
And the exit is
And
in the front, by the way, and it leads out
yeah,
to the patio to the other restaurant.
and yeah, we showed up a touch late because we had to do the drive, but Boy, upon getting in there, and this will be the point where if you're in the audio realm, you'll just continue to hear us talking about it. If you're in the video realm, if you're watching this on YouTube now, we want to kind of show you some of what we saw. And I can assure you that we have taken just some of the most amateurish, low quality video that I will be putting in over our video so that, you know, you're at a tiki bar. It's maybe a little blurry because your vision should be a little blurry. You had a couple drinks.
Absolutely. It's a little dark and it should be dark. They kept that mystery in there, and the focus was on the tiki mugs. They were wonderfully and well lit, but the rest of the bar had that mystery.
Yeah, so we got there. You know, obviously, I'm never going to judge a bar on their open because we've both opened plenty of venues, bars, restaurants. Your first month is rusty nails and tattered strings. You are learning of problems real time. And so, yeah, especially like your soft open, when you're doing the final filming of a documentary on top of opening a bar, yeah, that's a lot. So,
Yeah, they had like 7 or 8 people behind that small bar,
oh
and
yeah.
they
And
were all
obviously that
grueling.
bar was at a capacity that it will not see, you know, within a couple months after it opens. So, you know, it's not only love. There are no digs at how anything went. We completely get it. Like we got drinks, we got to talk with friends. Um,
And we
it
got to
was
see we
lovely.
got we got to take a look at everything, and there was a buzz in the air, not just because it was the first night. You could just tell there was a flow, and everyone that was in there, the workers included, everyone wanted to be there. Everyone was super excited, and it was kind of fun. It was like maybe watching childbirth, maybe
Yeah, I
like some
mean,
kind of Fijian mermaid birth,
less
maybe.
maybe less viscous, but still.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it
The
was
that drink, the viscous version, right? That's
such
oh
a
wait, no, that's a
such a
different
neat
dish.
experience. You know, you think about all these venerated cocktail establishments around the country and the world. And, you know, we wish Kabali nothing but the best. And how neat is it to say, let's say 30 years from now, you know, I have no doubt the venue will still be standing. And to be able to be there on day one was so neat. And as Adam brought up the architecture of it, like tiki bars obviously have a certain look they're going for. You know, with us, it's literally complete sensory overload. You know, a lot of tiki bars are just very traditional, bamboo, nautical outrigging, you know, the hanging glass floats, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And this I think was a really nice amalgam of sort of modernist, like streamlined cases to highlight different mugs from Finney's personal tiki collection, along with this really cool sort of postmodernist minimalist design
Right.
to bring into you know, the eye. They have some amazing original black velvet paintings. They have some of shag arts there. Even the like recessed lighting in the ceiling was very like mid-century modern, and it's all built around this sort of like hexagonal center bar with then a moai uh, wrapped in
The
octopus tentacles
octopus, yes.
going up into the rafters. Um,
And I
such a
believe that is
neat and
that is
unique.
modeled after a mug, right?
It's
Isn't
modeled
that
after a
is,
classic
yeah,
mug.
that's a
I
fashion
felt
mug right
bad.
there.
They did interview us there, and were very excited for us to talk about like the history of the mugs and things like that. Um, Boy, were we not those guys. We had to take a little bit of prompting. Like, oh yeah, no, that classic mug. I am acutely aware of it as I've studied every mug that's ever been created. I
We know
think
the
I
drinks
have
definitely that go in them, of course, but
exactly.
yeah. And then
I
then I
think I
think
have
you're the more the
seen.
mug expert though, because you have at least maybe twice as many as I do. You have maybe 3 dozen or
I have
so.
6 tiki mugs.
6.
And
Oh, I
yeah, I
think
mean,
I was seeing triplicate in your house, I guess.
this was something when they interviewed me for yeah, you were definitely messed up.
Mhm.
I have or when they interviewed me for the original Kabali thing back when they were in Golden, they did ask me like, do you have a Holy Grail mug? Like, is there one you're searching for? And I really found that like an interesting question because I know there are a lot of people in Tiki that are like, oh my God, I've always had my eye either, this mug has historical significance or it was such a low print. And, we've been lucky enough to meet some really cool mug producers. When we went to Exoticon in LA, we got a chat with the gentleman that owns Pie-Eyed Tiki Mugs. Hey, speaking of Tiki Oasis, look at that. For the audio listeners out there, look at that.
Sick mug.
Um, of course, we know Holden with Tiki Farm and all the great stuff that they're doing. And I think we've met, I think his name's Mike, the guy behind Ekum Bukum Tiki Mugs. We
Mhm.
were introduced to at Kabali from a mutual friend. Um, I have a lot of respect for mugs, and I really appreciate people that have just these amazing collections. And, I've bought a couple of mugs here or there. But again, where I think we kind of derivate from traditional, I've bought mugs. I have some Geeky Tiki mugs. I have some mugs that Mondo put out for the Alamo Draft House. Um, and yeah, they're not super traditional. I actually own probably very few tiki mugs, and I own very few that have any amount of age to them, more than 10, 15 years since I first started working in this. And I
Yeah, for some
respect
reason
them.
I thought you had more for some reason.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I respect them and I appreciate them. And I like them a lot. But when they asked me like, do you have a Holy Grail tiki mug? Is there something you're looking out for? I've always looked at it as when I look at my tiki mug collection, I want it to remind me of something. Um, I want that mug that I bought at that bar because I had that good time.
It's a
Or
memento.
exactly, yeah, it's
Mhm.
in a way it's a photograph. I'm freezing a memory within that mug. Like, yeah, this is my three dots and a dash mug from when Bria and Yancey and I were there. Or, this is my Tiki Cat mug from when Bria and I went there. Um it's freezing those moments in time and basically you're kind of putting a pin in your own history. And just like any sort of uh, I don't know, artifact or Chotsky, that you purchase on a trip. Like, yeah, this is a neat way to kind of encapsulate and freeze that. And I
Exactly.
know there are certain people out there that won't, like, I tell them, oh, you can buy our mugs online. Oh, I only buy mugs if I'm there in person. Okay,
Absolutely.
that's your truth, and
That
I'll
makes
admit,
sense.
generally I try and buy mugs only if I've been there in person. But if I've been there in person, then I'll buy a mug online. Like I have a Three Dots mug that I bought online because I didn't want to buy like three or four mugs while I was there. I went home, like, you'll never know. I could lie to you. I could, every time we do an episode, I could bring out a Three Dots mug and be like, oh, this is the one I bought when I was there. And you'll have no idea. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
tend to wait for the mugs to come to me. They come in my sphere, and if they're gifted to me, the gravitational pull is lovely. Sometimes if I just see one that I just really love the way it looks, then I'll snatch it up. But in general, as far as collecting things, I try to hold off. I try to like wait for that first impulse to leave, and then if the image of the mug and the vibe of the mug really like captivate me, then I'll go back and get it. Yeah, I have like I have some from Tiki Oasis events. I have a few golden tiki, as you can imagine. I have there's a bar in on Charleston here in Vegas, another 24-hour tiki bar. I have a Frankie's mug right there as well.
hey, I've got some
And
Frankie's mugs myself, brother.
you know, and I think whatever level you want to go at it, I think it is cool. Like you mentioned, Geeky Tiki, they have just some captivating, whimsical designs that also like make you, you look at it and it makes you happy. And that's at the end, is that if you can have that thing that makes you happy, then go for it. And of course, we always want to support artists, like artist made tiki
100%.
mugs, that aren't mass produced. And there's definitely, they should have more value. But like, if you, like I said, if you want like a geeky tiki, like it's great, like it's all, it deserves a seat at the table. But just know that the artist made ones, they need to sit a little higher though.
Oh, exactly. But yeah, I like what you brought up there. Like, it really comes down to the individual. Like, I will never debate anyone um on the value of their tiki mug collection, because like so many things in this sphere, it's subjective. If you are a huge tiki fan and you also love Beetlejuice, which I have an entire bathroom that's Beetlejuice themed. I get it. And Geeky Tiki does a Beetlejuice mug. Like, wow, these are two worlds I love intersecting. Why would I stray away from that? One of my Geeky Tiki mugs, we have a regular guest that comes in. Her name's Ariel. And she frequently plays a Jawa in Star Wars,
Yes,
different
right.
stuff. And one of our former managers, I mean, I consider Ariel a friend. She's very, very nice. But one of our former managers, Diaqua, got me a Grogu, a Baby Yoda tiki mug, and had Ariel sign it for me. And it's one of my favorite mugs. Like, it's just a weird, hilarious story. And again, from a kid like from Northwest Iowa, yeah, I have a weird ceramic Yoda that's signed by a girl that plays a Jawa. Like, that is obviously a highlight of my collection,
Cool.
Um, yeah, whether you collect because it's an investment, it's a status symbol, um, or it's just you have a shelf that contains some of your favorite memories. How neat is that? It's a lot more fun than not that I don't appreciate the gift, but you have a shelf with all the different glassware from Bubba Gump shrimp companies that you visited.
Yes. I
um
do like decorative glasses though as well. I mean, I love the Mai Tai glasses and zombie glasses as well. Like, I tend to lean towards those because they also have really cool art, and it's a memento and it's a snapshot in time. But
oh,
also
it's
they're
amazing art. Yeah.
utilitarian as well. Like,
Yeah, a lot more easy to
easier to drink
store,
out of.
yeah, easier to drink out of. Like, and as much as I love tiki mugs, especially in the modern era, like I'm right now drinking out of the Art of Tiki tiki mug from Tiki Oasis, Arizona 2017. Um, boy, it if you don't have crushed ice, you get about 3 cubes in there. And it's a little top heavy. It's a lovely mug, but it's a sculpture, it's art. No one's ever had like a zombie glass or a Mai Tai glass. I'm like, how do I handle this thing? Like, how do you drink out of this? Like, fuck, you can't drink out of a glass. You have more problems than I think we're addressing right here. But yeah, through all this, like all the different mugs that have existed, that will exist, for Finney to take this like weird obsession and not just be a crazy hoarder that's afraid of an earthquake that's going to break his shelves, and to turn it into something that isn't just for him, that's for everyone. No matter how long you've been in Tiki, he's created a church, and it's a church that you can go and find your holy grail, something you may have only seen online. And it's just right there behind, half-inch glass. Uh, Such a cool and unique concept. Such a fun, great guy. I couldn't be happier that this bar exists. And even beyond that, I am just over the moon that he's someone I've become friendly with, and we were able to be there on day one.
Yeah, it was truly special. I mean, I felt like we were part of something special. We were part of possibly in a documentary about it as well. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the energy in the room was beautiful. Like, everyone was scurrying about and floating on air. It might have been, those very high ester Mai Tais. Or it was just, it was newness in the air as well. Especially, I loved when you had to walk down the alley, you had to walk out the back, and
Yeah,
we
it's a
kind
little
of like,
sketch. It's kind of that, it's that speakeasy, like, wait, are we going the right way? What the fuck's happening here? You
right,
know?
right. The security guard was pretty big too, so I was
Yeah.
like,
He
am
was
I gonna be
even for Vegas
alligator?
standards.
Right, right. Yeah, and Finney, I'm so glad he invited us too, because like you were saying, it is a church. It's a church of tiki. It's a place for people to be able to look at, enjoy, and admire things that they've only seen in books. And to have a bar that's centered around tiki bars, like you said, we should have thought of that. We definitely should have thought of that, brother. But because normally instead of it being lost in the tiki clutter, so to speak,
Right.
because tiki bars have a lot of clutter. Um, because of that, everything washed up on the beach, and you just kind of put it together, and it
Yeah,
grows
nailed to the
organically.
wall. This is
You know,
yeah. This is Polynesia, damn it.
but like this way, and you mentioned it, so has that mid-century, like modern, and it's somewhat sleek, it's somewhat elegant, and they're in the forefront. So instead of being lost in the corner or just with the glassware, this is a place to come and sit at the altar and enjoy.
Yeah, we always, I don't know how common it is out in California, but I know in the Midwest, we always had a little bit of a nod. Like if you'd go to Tiki Cat, they had a Fong's pizza mug behind the bar, and vice versa. At Fong's, we had Tiki Cat. Back then, I don't think La Colono had a mug, but I know they had one of our mugs on display. There was always this sort of friendly handshake that, like, yeah, we're buddies. And this is, like the um Predator, yeah, brother handshake of tiki mugs, which was really, really, really dope to be a part of. So yeah, speaking of tiki mugs, of course, when a new bar that is based around tiki mugs opens, they've got to have their own tiki mug. And that mug was designed by none other than legendary tiki artist Doug Horn. Sure, you know a lot of Doug's work. He actually created the original logo and the original menu for our bar, the Golden Tiki. So yeah, it ended up being pretty cool. A friend of mine that I met way back when I was at Fong's, Ross. If you're on Instagram, he is Ross the Tiki Boss.
Ross
Uh,
Salati.
he had come in with Doug Horn to Golden a few months ago, and I found out, that Doug was doing their mug. They were both going to be there,
Oh, that's the
and
night we saw him at Stray Pirate as well. Or I saw him
that
that
you
night at
ran
Stray
into him,
Pirate.
yeah,
Yeah.
after work. And man, that's one of my favorite stories because previously to that, I'd been in Stray Pirate a few times, and I'd brought in over the holidays, McBiff was in town. And we met up and I took him to Stray Pirate, and they were all excited about that. And then like a month or so after that, the goth artist Voltaire was in town, and we went out and I took him to Stray Pirate. And I remember like the time after that, I went in by myself. I was talking to some of the higher ups there, and they're like, dude, we always appreciate like you bringing the big deals and the rock stars in. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the other week, Adam Raines was in here, and they were marking out so hard. And I was just like, oh, all right. Yeah, Adam Raines. That is truly a big deal, and you're lucky that he was
I've
at your bar.
I've heard of him.
From what I've
I've
heard, he
never heard
said
of
kind things. But when you have that kind of power, benevolence can turn in a heartbeat.
him.
um so yeah, it was really cool to run into Ross. And I before Ross had brought Doug into Golden, I don't think that he and I had ever met. And yeah, we ended up hanging out with him and talking for a bit, and we all got along so well that Doug drove us down to like Tucson campus town with Ross to meet a friend of Ross's who I will not name, not because I don't remember, but just to, protect his anonymity.
Yeah, you got to protect the innocent. Yeah.
100%. And yeah,
Yeah.
we went out to some really dope little, I think it was called Buffalo Witch, this cool, weird little like campus
Yeah,
town sandwich shop.
great fresh bread sandwiches, like they bake it there, and yeah, like
Yeah, and bread bowl
everything
soup
was
was their other
thoughtful.
big thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah, just had a lovely time with dinner. And then like a bunch of probably 19 to 20-year olds just cruised the dive bars in Campus Town, Tucson.
Oh
It
yeah.
was, I haven't felt that young in some time.
Well, by proxy or by comparison, we were younger than some of the people we were with. So so
I did find out when we were at dinner I was the youngest
yeah,
person there. So I
yeah, that
immediately
feels good.
turned to like, oh man, I'm feeling old today. Like, fuck you old bastards. This young guy is still going.
Yeah, and Campus Town, Tucson gave me a little bit of like Austin vibes. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't it had an older, and it's like an older kind of Main Street vibe, and there were some really cool bars, some mixology bars and things like that. And it's by University of Arizona, so it was collegey, but not in the annoying way, if you want
Well,
to
yeah, I
say
mean,
it.
going into like one of the dive bars we hung out at for quite a while, uh literally it's like a 3 foot by 3 foot horseshoe that just goes down. It was so narrow. Everyone's crammed
So
in there.
packed.
And there's people that are probably not old enough to drink and people old enough to be collecting Social Security, all just drinking together, having a good time. And
Yes,
yeah,
I
hitting
love
up
that
a
bar.
couple different joints. I think one of my favorite, I mean, it was really truly a magical night. And it's one of the things I love about this tiki community. Like, I got to know Ross the first time back when I worked at Fong's. This is the first time we really hung out, like sharing the stories and, like chilling with Doug Horn, like this legendary tiki artist, and just how enamored he was on the drive over when I got you talking about when you were on Bar Rescue. Telling stories about that filming process and how the whole thing's worked and yeah, just like not pretense, just hanging out, having fun. But I think my favorite memory of it was when they knew better and all went their separate ways, and we were calling an Uber. And you, Mr. Adam Rains, as we're waiting on the Uber, said, maybe I could do an tomorrow. I said, well, there's a bar there you can dip in. And you came out. I was like, how'd it go? You said, yeah, I tried to order tomorrow. And they're like, yeah, we're not that type of bar.
Shut down. Shut me down.
Probably
Yes.
for the best. But we did go back to the hotel and obviously responsibly enjoy a little bit of the Diplomatico number 2 that you had brought along.
Yes, the pots. Yeah, the number two. That was great. And before I got shut down with the Amaro, back to talking about the dive bar that we were at, it's called the Buffet Bar.
It
And
was
90-year-old bar. And there's like graffiti all over the place. It was
lousy with it.
Yeah. It was bright enough just so you could see everyone in there. They had a decent selection of whiskey. It wasn't too bad, and some ciders and beers. And you're right. The lady next to me, she was like this well-dressed, probably like 70, mid 70s, in age. And she had her hair done to go out to the dive bar,
Yep.
and she was mixing it up with all of us. I think I even saw her pull out like her own little like diamond flask and she said
Right,
like
yeah,
nice
exactly.
girls never bring
Little
their
nip
own.
between little nip between cocktails, exactly.
It was
Yeah, it
great. And
was
yeah,
uh super fun night, and we did make it back to the hotel, enjoy a little Diplomatico number 2, and then decided to call it a night. And we woke up the next day and we said, as lovely as this city is, as great as Tucson is, we have a lot going on. How soon will we be back? But we cannot conscionably leave Tucson, Arizona without worshiping at the altar that is the Kon-Tiki. Now, of course, in this parlance, you say Kon-Tiki, and those of you Tiki files might think Stephen Crane's Kon-Tiki chain that he entered into with the Sheridan. They have nothing to do with that. This Kon-Tiki, you listen to Kritiki, opened in 1961, or according to the Arizona Daily Star, opened in 1962.
1963. I've
Oh
also
no,
seen
their website
1963.
says
Yeah,
1963, so who
yeah.
knows? Again, Tiki mythos and legend. And neither of us had ever been there, but we managed to shuffle off from our hotel room, put ourselves back together as best we could. Might have hit up a record store just to kind of recenter ourselves, and then went to one of those last few remaining amazing tiki altars. So Adam, tell me about the Kon-Tiki. What'd you dig, brother?
Man, I mean, I loved, the entryway. You already, before you even go in, you're going someplace special. You're going. It's bringing you some mystery. It's bringing you a little bit of paradise. And you get a little bit trepidatious. You might think there's a water feature, and then there's moai and tiki, and then you go inside and it's nice and dark, with just enough kind of little red lights and just enough, there's a little bit of light coming into the window so you can see like the kind of bamboo work. And I love how the bar had this nice curve that they don't really do
Mm-hmm.
they don't make them like that very much anymore. And so you can kind of, everywhere you sit at the bar, you'll get a different view of the patrons and the bar itself. It just, you felt the history in there. You felt like they haven't touched much. I'm
Yeah,
sure they
it's one of the
could.
neat things. Like many tiki bars, there are almost no windows. The only windows they really have are behind the bar. And that's to their outdoor patio now. But it used to be back in the day that was an aviary. They had all sorts of parrots and different exotic birds back there. And then after they changed it from an aviary, they had weird random lizards in there. And now it's their patio. And it's one of those places you just wish you had a dial to turn back time. Like I want to experience every iteration of this. And we learned I think from talking to Ross that Bamboo Ben had done a fairly significant renovation of it a few years back. But it really is one of those things like where you're standing in history and it kind of reminds you that like there's beauty in tiki that's just kind of like run down and dusty and cobbled together. Like all the different rooms are just kind of randomly themed. They're still within the tiki vein, but they're sort of their own little weird escapist unit within there. Yeah, there is so much beauty and so many stories in old-timey tiki bars. And again, I mentioned Ross because whenever tiki people are in town, we all do the same thing. As we were starting to wrap up, Ross and Doug showed up
Yeah.
with another group of people that were at Kabali. And so, of course, we all had to have Congress before we took off. And it was so neat to learn from Ross that like the reason that the Kon-Tiki is still going so well is because it's all the college kids. Their drinks are cheap as hell,
They
and for what
are.
you pay for,
Yeah.
they're not that bad. I've had a hell of a lot worse drinks. I mean, honestly, we both ate what you got a burger. We got their like luau platter or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which is like half, like two of half their appetizers. We got their, you got a burger. I
Barbecue
got,
bacon burger.
yeah, like the
Delicious.
Louie chicken or something like that. Um, I think you had two drinks. I had a drink. I bought a shirt, a glass, and a poster. And our tab was less than if Bria and I go to McDonald's here in Las Vegas.
Right.
Like, it
Right, right.
really yeah, it just speaks to like what they are and what they're doing, and it's easy to be an armchair tiki fan and say, well, I felt the rum that they used in their Mai Tai was a bit pedantic, and blah blah. Like, it's a $7 Mai Tai. Shut up. It's
Right,
a drink.
right.
They're doing their best. The decor is older than you are. It's got a hell of a lot of history. Think of all of every romance that started there and every romance that ended there and all of the beautiful stories from each and every seat. So much history from 1961 or maybe 1962 or 3 to now, that was incepted at this magical location. Some of my favorite things of visiting tiki bars, just the extrapolation of all of its isness and everyone that's passed through its doors. Uh, truly, truly lovely.
Yeah, and you can just imagine it, 30, 40 years ago. Because with all the different little seating areas, I loved, like, it was right out of a movie, to be honest. Like, they're all kind of quadrant off by little bamboo areas. And you said, yeah, kind of randomly themed, but it all fits in that tapestry tiki, and you can just imagine people getting laid for the first time, people meeting, people just getting away from the normal doldrums of life, because I always say that whenever you go to a bar, you're looking for a bit of a head change, and tiki bars, you get that before you even have a drink. And then once you have those drinks, it's game
Oh,
on,
it's off to the
bombs
races.
away,
Well, and it's
and
so
yeah,
neat. Yeah, we've talked a little bit about sort of where we stand on history with tradition versus, the more modern movement. And, one of the things, I don't know if I've said it on here before, and I'm sure it's an episode that we'll address in the future, but a hard truth is that at a certain point in time, traditional tiki did basically die off. And there were a few bastions that held on. Obviously the
like
Valley
the
High in San
Kon-Tiki, of
Diego,
course.
the Kon-Tiki in Tucson, up until I think the year 2000, the Kowloon in uh, Ohio, um,
Maikai.
and the Maikai, which is
Mhm.
hopefully going to reopen at some point. Um, and that's one of the arguments I'll make why it's important that Tiki continues to adapt, I'm sorry. But I love, love, love that there is a traditional old school Tiki bar doing it their own way, and they're doing it because that's where the college kids go. That's where the youth goes. Super dope. Tip of the hat to the Kon-Tiki. If you haven't been, I can't imagine tickets to Tucson are that expensive. I mean, come on. It's a college town. Tickets to college towns are always reasonable.
Exactly.
Find time to get there, especially now with the Kabali. I mean, you've got a brand
Exactly.
new world-class tiki bar and an old school historical tiki bar in the same town. We're in Las Vegas. We don't have that. Get out.
Absolutely.
Check
And
it
and
out.
and the town in general is just a cool town. Like I mentioned, I got kind of like an Austin vibe because it's not so cookie cutter. There's just like a hint of weirdness there. Like no, it's not Portland or all the way Austin weird, but there's a hint of that. They're not going. It's not like Phoenix. It's not Scottsdale. It's not a cookie cutter place. It has a bit of culture. There's a big culinary history there. There's Native American history there. There's Sonoran Desert, and I love the mountains around it, and that how it's built right beside that huge mountain, which
Yeah,
actually
that
looks
big
like a
black
altar
mountain
itself.
right into the foothills. Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
it's like
gorgeous. Yeah, driving
beautiful.
in, just seeing, the clouds. Because when we went for that weekend, it was very overcast. We were dealing with that whole like whatever they
The
called it,
Pineapple
the
Express
Pineapple Express, not the
moisture.
weed strain, the river of moisture coming off the
Mhm.
Atlantic that was just wrecking California, Arizona, and Nevada. And yeah, the clouds just resting on the mountains. And yeah, really like everyone we dealt with was super nice. Um, man, yeah, what a fun city. I don't know how many opportunities I'll get back to go there, but I'm gonna cherish um all of those memories. And it was great, like reconnecting with old friends, meeting new friends. Um, and as we're kind of talking about this town where there is new and old tiki, I do want to bring up, sort of to wrap up this episode, in a way that has nothing to do with what we talked about. Are you
The
familiar? Do you know?
Pago, right?
Oh, Pago Pago, get
Did you
into
bring
it.
up the Pago Pago? Yeah,
Do
yeah,
it.
because the Pago was one of their older tiki bars that shut down. I think in the 70s. I don't quote me on that, but they have the Pago Pago Punch, which is in it's on Jeff's app, the Total Tiki app.
Oh, it's on Total Tiki.
And there's a
Dope.
few different versions. Yeah, it's on there, and we actually made it in preparation for the trip. I thought it would be only
Only
be
fitting
apropos
to
if I
have a
did.
Pago
So,
Pago. Yeah.
and it's delicious. It's sort of navy grog with the addition of a little bit more bitters and orange juice. So it's generally like, but it was only like 1 ounce of, it said dark Jamaican rum. It had 0.75, 3/4 of an ounce of lime, 3/4 of an ounce of grapefruit, 3/4 of an ounce of honey, and then orange juice in there and some bitters. We made it like that, and it was pretty good. But once you up the booze a little bit, if you bring that to 2 ounces, I was actually kind of good to go like that. And
Oh,
you know what I mean? We talked about it before. I'm not always a fan of like orange juice in my cocktails.
and I'm right
I mean,
there with you.
you know, it's kind of like, especially pasteurized orange juice, is kind of just meh. It kind of you know, there's like a flabbiness in that juice, if that makes
100%. I couldn't
sense.
agree more.
It's kind of
Yeah.
it deadens things, but it's a good cocktail. I think maybe we'll have to have one maybe tomorrow or something
I'm not mad at
when
that.
when we're
We have a
back
few
at the
things on
old
the docket
tiki, you know?
tomorrow, and I think that might need to be one of them. Now the Paco Paco that you mentioned, I remember when we were walking, I think from Buffalo Witch to the buffet bar, there is still, like in Campustown, Tucson, this giant stone moai. Was that where the
I
Pago Pago was?
You know, I don't know. Yeah, it was like kind of on the corner. It looks like right now it's almost like a food court, food truck area. I'm looking right now. It says that it was on 2020. Oh, or it was on 2201 North Oracle Road. We'd have to go
Yeah, we'd
research
have to
that.
Google Maps it. Anyway, for those of you watching in the YouTube sphere, I think I took a picture of that moai. I'll try and throw it up while we're doing it. And also, this is a good time to plug. If you've been enjoying the Tiki Rebellion, or even if you haven't, probably more importantly, we are on Instagram. So follow us at Tiki Rebellion. That is us. Um, I know that Adam, in his personal accounts, has tagged us on a few things. We are going to start now that we're 2 episodes in. I really don't want to start promoting this podcast much until we're 3 in, because I really want to let you know how bad it's going to be before I push you to pay attention to it. And we need at least 3 hours of this to hammer that point home. But yeah, if that's a great way to get a hold of us. There's also some of these different things, you know, occasionally Adam and I will travel together, like this Tucson event. We really didn't get into it that much, but I do kind of want to circle back when we were talking about Kabali. I first heard about it, you know, from meeting Finney, and then a friend of yours that I've become friends with, Tiki Don Hampton, when Exoticon was in LA this last summer, he reached out to you and said, "Hey, I got you some tickets. Do you want to go?" You and I took the day trip down, and one of the things we were most excited about, I mean, outside of them failing to secure a liquor license, it was still a pretty dope little tiki event in Los Angeles. And you know, we got to see Shag and run into like
Big Toe. Big Toe's
yeah,
the seminar
Tom,
was
Big
great.
Toe. And yeah,
Mhm.
we were, one of the things we're most excited about was Big Toe was doing a seminar on basically the mechanics of creating a tiki mug. And they opened that with the world premiere of the trailer for the Kabali documentary. And yeah, we
Yes, they
were
did.
both super gassed on that. It was super cool to see. And then yeah, Tom's um, you know, talk on just from basically like, you know, a purveyor reaching out saying, I want this mug, to the design sketches, to the virtual sculpts, to the sculpts, to production, was super duper neat. So, and one of my favorite things about that trip was every time you had been to Southern California, it'd always been with your family. So you'd never been to Tiki Tea or Tonga Hut before. And
Right.
yeah, getting to take you to both of those and having those conversations. I'm sure we will circle back to that on a future podcast. But yeah, there are times Adam and I get to travel together. We definitely work together most weeks. But then there are times that you go off, because you are the legend Adam Rains, to do your own stuff. And you just got back from what were you doing in Miami?
I was there for the Miami Rum Congress, and we also did a takeover of Bar Zotico, which is Daniele Dalla Pola's bar. And yeah, we had a blast. I can't wait for us to
Yeah, we're
talk
gonna tuck
about
into
that.
that. But then
You
what,
know,
wait, at the end of this week, you're doing something too, right?
yeah, this week we're gonna go to Arizona again for second time in a few weeks, and we're going to be going to the Arizona Cocktail Week, and there's an event, it's kind of a culmination of that 3-day long kind of festival to the cocktail. It's called Top Bars. So Top
Oh,
Bars, they bring in bars from all over the world. They'll bring bars from London. They'll bring bars from New York, Dead Rabbit. They'll bring bars from LA, like from all over the world. And so they asked us from the Golden Tiki to show up. And we're going to be a part of that event, which is it's an honor to be a part of that because there's a lot of heavy hitters there always. But that's always a fun event because it's kind of consumer facing to the consumer. Whoever all the attendees get to go and try cocktails from all over the world, literally. So it's a really fun thing to do.
well, that's super top notch. And yeah, these are the kind of things that we'll be moving forward with on future episodes. You know, whether it's Adam and my adventures together on the road, our adventures at the Golden Tiki, or the behind the scenes of what we actually do at Tiki Oasis, what Adam actually does at Tiki by the Sea, or Miami Rum Congress, Arizona Cocktail Week. All these different things that we're very humbled and very excited to be a part of. We want to share those stories with you. But also, we want you to be part of the conversation. What do you want to hear Adam and I talk about? Again, our Instagram is at Tiki Rebellion. You can direct message us there. You can also email us. We have an email, and I've remembered to check it twice so far. So things are going good. It is contact@tikirebellion.com. Do you have show ideas? Obviously, there are certain things we'll eventually get to. I know you want to hear about. We'll give you some behind the scenes shrunken head stories. We'll give you some what it's like to run one of only two 24-hour tiki bars and one of the higher volume tiki bars in the world. We'll talk about all those things. What else do you want to hear about? You want to have an episode that's just Mai Tai specs? Let's get super nerdy. We will do cocktail reviews. I want to do different book reviews. I buy all the tiki books, even the bad ones. I really want to review the bad ones. And yeah, spirits, that sort of thing. Again, this is an avenue for two people creating content in the tiki world to just give our takes, to give our opinions. What are you most excited about, Adam? If you were to choose the next episode, what would you have it be?
Well, and then I'll answer that, but I just also want to say, yeah, we want to give opinions, but we want to also say humbly say that all our opinions, for the most part, will be educated opinions because we work, we live and breathe this stuff every day, every night. When we're off work, we're thinking about this stuff. When we're at work, we're obviously thinking about this stuff. We're drinking, we're suffering for the craft for you guys. So that's kind of where we're coming from is that we're doing this also. We think it's our duty to share because we know there's so many people that love this tiki thing, and
Oh, and we love it too.
it's become a lifestyle. It's become a source of joy. Yeah, and we absolutely love it. So I'd say I can't wait to talk about you know your future endeavors. I know we're kind of like thinking ahead further down the line, and I know I don't want to drop this bombshell yet, but I think the second episode is the time to drop the bombshell.
Oh,
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, Nick Morningstar. He'll be leaving us to pursue his lifelong goal of joining the team at Bubba Grump Shrimp Company in Tuscaloosa.
man, I have been a
so
fan of
I'm
Alabama
so happy about that.
since I was a young boy. And, you know, I knew that Tuscaloosa was where I belonged, but I didn't know why. And, you know, I've traveled the United States pretty extensively. And it's easy being a small town kid from a small town in Iowa. You just don't feel like you fit in, you know, whether you're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, whether you're in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York, Miami. What do these places have in common? What do they have for someone like me? And then I realized the answer is always the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. I mean,
Yes, yes, yes.
when you, this doesn't need to be said, but obviously the greatest movie of all time, Forrest Gump. I mean, a movie that it's timeless. It extends generations. It speaks to everyone.
It does.
How much it resonates to the very DNA core of what it means to exist, what it means to be a person. And then it's not just a movie, it's an experience. It's
It's a
a
way of life.
restaurant
Yeah.
and a bar that you can go to, and you've got, just like you're at some, mid-tier Brazilian churrasquero, or however you fucking pronounce it, where you flip the coaster
Yeah.
over, green
Yeah.
or red, whether I
Oh,
want some. You've got little license plate, run Forrest run, or stop Forrest stop, and that's how you bring your server over. They have so many different types of
great.
shrimp, and
They
while
do.
you're having your meal, they quiz you on the greatest movie of all time. And it's just a friendly handshake. They know you know the answers, but it's just a welcome. So while this has been fun, it does seem weird to do 2 episodes in. Yes, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Here I
I can't
come. Here
wait
you
to be
come.
there. And
And then who knows after that, Tuscaloosa, next Schenectady. I heard you'll be the corporate
well,
open up in Sheboygan as
okay,
well.
I now I have dreams, but I don't want to jinx anything right now. So I don't want to get over my skis. We're gonna put one foot in front of the other. Um, and man, when you think escapism, you just think you can take any piece of historical footage and poorly CGI in an actor. And that's what connects me. So it's been a fun journey. Adam, should I not be back? What a legend. It's been such a good time sharing this time with you. I look forward to
Thank you so
you
much.
attempting to find my replacement. I hope you continue on. Honestly, I don't care. I'll be knee deep in so many types of shrimp. Penny, I'm coming home.
Jenny. No, thank you, Nick Morningstar, for another fun episode. I don't get enough of you at work, so it's good I can get a little bit of one-on-one time and hopefully share with everybody a little bit of our love for the tiki thing.
Never enough for you, brother. If you're listening to this in the audio realm, like it, tell your friends. I don't know, make friends. This would be a great thing to make friends around. Make friends about hating this. I don't care how you do it. Just listen, tune in. If you're watching us in the video realm on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. I don't know anything about it. I've heard those things help. You want to reach out to us?
People say that stuff.
Exactly. I've watched enough YouTube to
You're
know
supposed
that
to.
these are catchphrases. You want to follow us on Instagram? You want to see the 3 posts we put out? It's only 2 now. I'm hoping we'll have a third one. We are at Tiki Rebellion. And if you want to hear from us, you can email us contact@tikirebellion.com. You're all legends. Thanks for being a part of this with us. And Adam can't wait till the next one. I'm out.